Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 7 reasons to let the Lawn Care Pro take care of your yard. And I know even the title of that just kind of bothers some people who want to do it themselves. And just to put you at ease a little bit, I want to say that I'm probably going to do another video that I'll show at the end of this video. That's going to be 7 reasons to do your own yard and not let the pro do it. Okay, so I'm going to try to argue both sides of the coin here. But today, we're talking about why to let them do it, because I think there are some reasons that make a lot of sense. Today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. I use Graham spray rigs on the back of my truck when I'm doing weed control and fertilization for my business. If you need a spray rig for your business, go to grahamsc.com or give those guys a call. Reason number 1 to let the pro take care of your business, and I think some of these make more sense than others, but they're all legit in my mind. Reason number 1 is the equipment involved with it and the cost of that equipment. So I understand the cost of the equipment is probably not the cost of paying somebody else to do it. Okay, so don't get me wrong there. I don't think that it's actually cheaper to pay somebody to do it than to do it yourself. But you got to think about it. Like, for instance, my yard, I've got almost 4 acres of Bermuda grass. So it would be expensive for me to pay somebody. But you know what else is expensive? Large zero-turn mowers. They're also expensive, and upkeep on those mowers. So if I was a homeowner and I had a small yard, I think I would have to at least factor that into the equation, is the cost of this equipment. Because if I want to do it right, I got to have a mower. And of course, if you want it to look good, I think you need to edge it, you need to have a trimmer, you have a blower, and maybe some of these things you have anyway. But again, they don't last forever. There is some maintenance involved, and there's some cost involved. So it's at least part of the factor that it's not like 100% savings if you do it yourself. You still have to pay for the equipment. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the results that you get paying a professional. And one reason to consider, a second reason I should say, to consider hiring a professional. Now, look at my yard. Let me just show it to you. And I want to hear you good, bad, and ugly in the comments if you want to. Now, depending on if you have a warm season lawn or a cool season lawn, it's going to look a little different. Now, there's dew out here. You can see where I walk through the yard. And there's a little bit of slight yellowing. I'm actually critiquing it myself here. Probably due to mowing it a little bit too short or letting it get a little too tall before I mow it short. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm almost positive that is, because there's a little hill here. It's scalped it. So the results are not perfect in this situation, but you'll look a fairly large Bermuda yard with almost no weeds in it. There are weeds. I guess I'm hiding them on video. And believe me, I'm fully aware that there are some homeowners out there that can definitely do a better job than the professionals. Let's just say that you're mowing grass and you want to pay a line company to come do it once a week, and they get out there and 3 people, and they got a big zero-turn mower, and they got 28 yards to do that day. You know, if you got 1 yard and you're retired and you want to mow it every other day with a push mower, can you make it look better? Yes, of course you can. I mean, but I would argue that if those professionals only had 1 yard to keep up and they had all the time in the world, they can make it look pretty good too. So considering the fact that they're doing as much as they are, and yes, they're not going to get out there probably and just push mow every single yard, as a few people will, but it is not quite the same results with a big zero turn versus a little push mower. And you know, I get all the arguments. I think I do. You can leave some more in the comments if you want to. For a weed control perspective, the results are typically pretty good when you pay a service to do it. Not all of them, but in general, they're pretty good. And for mowing, I think they're pretty good for a lot of mowing companies if you just get them to show up and get a reasonable one that'll show up and do what they say they're going to do. So again, I know that there is a homeowner and several of them that can do a better job, but in general, the professionals do a pretty good job. The third thing I wanted to mention when we're talking about this is just the knowledge involved with it. Now, I guess I'm leaning a little bit more toward the weed control side of things. There is a good bit to learn. You don't just go buy something out. Well, matter of fact, a lot of people do this. They just go buy something out from the big box store that says weed control on it, and they spray it, and they say, why didn't it work? Or I sprayed it and my weeds are worse. I sprayed it and I think I fertilized the weeds. I sprayed it and it said crabgrass killer, and look, I ain't got nothing but crabgrass. I mean, yeah, I get it. I hear it, okay? But the problem is they might not be buying the correct product because they don't know what they're supposed to buy, and then they don't know the right timing to do it, and they don't have the right equipment, and then they don't read the label to know how much to put out. You know, so there is a knowledge base. Now you may have overcome all those barriers and be the most knowledgeable homeowner ever that's taking care of your own lawn, but you got to admit, well, you don't have to, I think you should admit that the average professional that's been doing this for a long time, for me, this is my 18th year, I think. So I got 18 years where I wake up and think about lawns for just about most of the day, more than the average person, I would say. So through that and through having hundreds, if not thousands of conversations and hundreds of lawns that you take care of, you do gain a level of experience that usually is going to put you over the homeowner. Now again, you may be a homeowner taking care of your own lawn and have 4 PhDs in turf science. I understand there are exceptions to the rule, but in general, you got to say that the professional person, I would like to argue, typically has a knowledge base that was not acquired overnight and takes some time to gain that level of knowledge. The thing I want to mention, and I wrote these down, I was like, well, is that similar to number one? In some ways it is, the cost savings. You know, number one, I was talking about the equipment as being part of the cost, but I guess you got to factor in the total cost, because even with equipment, I mean, let me just say this. I've been messing with some robot mowers lately, and if I had like a little tiny yard, I think I might, if I was a homeowner and I didn't want to pay somebody, I think I would get a robot and just let the thing mow my grass every day. And to me, that would be easy. And then you can still go out there and do the trimming and edging and all that. But you got to think about, and there might even be a cost savings way there. I mean, of course, the robot, depending on which one you get, some of them are cheaper and some of them are pretty expensive. Anywhere from $1,000 to, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000. I'm sure some of them cost. But if you had a small yard, you could probably get one that wasn't too unreasonably expensive. But even then, with your cost savings, and if you got a big yard and you got a big mower, I don't know. I had an engineer friend one time. He told me when he was an engineer for a big company, he said, for us, we wanted a 2-year ROI. So if we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars making some change in our business, we needed that to produce a return on our investment within 2 years. I guess get back to a break-even point. So you got to think with the cost savings, if I buy a big lawnmower and it costs $12,000, let's just say, how long is it going to take me to recoup those savings versus paying somebody, and is that worth it? So again, just thinking about it from a logical business perspective, I was making a business decision. It's not, of course, not a business decision. Some people love cutting their grass, but things to factor in if you're on the fence and making this decision. The cost savings can really come into effect on like a small yard for weed control and fertilization. Again, it's not mean it doesn't do it, but just sometimes, for instance, you know, I buy one small bottle of chemicals that costs $100, $200, sometimes $300 for a little bottle of something. Now, a homeowner probably might not buy that because it's very expensive, and so they'll go buy something that's actually more expensive per application from the big box store or wherever, and that doesn't always make a lot of sense because it's not as effective. So what I'm getting at is a professional could have an arsenal of different products to use on the lawn that are expensive for the one-time purchase, not necessarily as expensive for the actual application of that time, but they've got the best product for the best situation a lot of times, or for that particular situation, where it's going to be challenging for most homeowners to go buy 20 different products to have that special product for that one situation, because that can be very expensive. And even if you buy something that's, you know, the right product, it's not too expensive a product, you know, we buy, typically the professional buys it in a lot bigger quantities, which can give you a price savings versus a homeowner. So just another thing to consider. Hey, and I don't care if you're in the lawn business, you want to use some of these arguments with your customer. I would prefer not to argue with the customer. I also prefer that if they're on the fence about whether to hire a lawn service or not, that they just make the decision on their own. Like, I'm not begging you to hire me. It's like, you know, if you want me to do it, I'm happy to do it. But if you want to do it on your own, that's fine with me. I'm not going to like sit here and argue with you about it. So but you know, you may get in a conversation and be able to use some of this to your advantage if you're given a quote one day. The fifth thing I want to mention is just the time and convenience of having somebody to do it. I mean, let's just say you got a demanding job and you're working 5 days a week and long days, and you come home, and on Saturday, for a lot of people, they want to mow their grass. For a lot of people, they don't want to mow their grass or spray chemicals or do whatever they want to do. So they have a lot of things they could think of where they didn't want to do this. I'd love to hear in the comments, again, if you don't like doing this, which one of these is the most compelling? And if you do like to do your own yard, I'd like to hear, which one of these is the reason why you do your own yard. Or if you agree or disagree. So just the convenience of just coming home and you know it's done. It's like, wow, that's just one less thing I got to do. I'm even thinking that way somewhat for myself. Not that I don't cut the grass. Fortunately, I have a son that's old enough now to help cut the grass, which is great. But there are some times when I'm like, well, you know what? I'm out doing yards all day. Now, I don't mind coming home cutting the grass. But there are other things in my life that I'm also trying to is there a way I could get somebody else to do that? That would free my schedule up. Because as your schedule is more demanding and you don't have all day, every day to do whatever you want, then the convenience of having somebody take care of it for you helps out. Whether it's paying somebody to change the oil in your vehicle or paying somebody, that's kind of a good correlation, I guess. If you go to the oil change place, is it cheaper if you do it yourself? Probably. How much cheaper? Is it worth what you're saving to do it yourself? For some people it is, for a lot of people it's not. So it's kind of a similar argument I'm making. The sixth one's one I've been thinking about a lot lately, and it's what I want to call opportunity cost. Now normally when I think about opportunity cost, I think about if I had $1,000 today and I go spend it on, whatever, golf clubs, and that's $1,000 that I can't invest in the stock market that 6 years from now is going to be $2,000. You get what I'm saying. Whatever I spend here, I don't have available to do something else with. Well, on opportunity cost, what I want to look at that as and for me, let's just say that, let's go back to the oil change illustration. I want to change my own oil, and that sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm going to change my own oil because I saved myself $10, or today might be $20 or $30, who knows. So I gotta think though, how long did it take? What I'm gonna do with the old oil? I gotta drive it up to the auto parts store and recycle. I gotta, do all the things. And could I just have had another lawn care customer that was paying me, a lot more money per hour than I was saving doing the oil change? Does that make sense? If I saved myself, I don't know, $30, let's say, and it took me 30 minutes, so it's $60 an hour. Well, if my lawn business is paying $100 an hour, then I'm actually costing myself money by doing this instead of that, if that makes sense. So, opportunity cost, could you just do your normal job one more hour and make more money than you're saving by cutting your own grass? Again, if you enjoy cutting your grass, you just enjoy cutting your grass. None of this, it's like therapy for you, then go cut your grass. I'm just trying to make some of the arguments for you. Number 7, this one's not quite as important to me, but it is for a lot of people, and it's by hiring a lawn care service, you support a local business. When I say it's not important to me, it don't mean I don't want to support a local business. I just think that the market changes, in my opinion, and so if there's not a demand for mowing grass anymore, and people don't want to pay to do it, then you got to adapt and you got to go do something else. You may have to wash cars or pressure wash houses or invent robots, or you got to do something else. You got to adapt. Okay, the market shifted. We don't have video rental stores anymore, at least not around here. And so you had to adjust and become in the streaming industry, or whatever you need to do to adapt. Last time I checked, the demand for lawn care service is really, really high and maybe continuing to increase. So it's a good business to be in. There's still plenty of demand for it. A lot of people are still doing great with it. And you're given a chance to support somebody. I know it meant a lot to me when I started my business. I had some people, friends, that would support my business and give me a chance. And I, at the time, I probably was not as good as the competitors. As a matter of fact, I know I wasn't. But they gave me a chance and helped me get started, and I really appreciate that. So you're supporting somebody who's out there trying to make a living. If they are doing it in an honest way, then I would encourage you to do that. Hope these reasons help. There may be others I left off. Thanks for watching. And when you get done with this one, I will try at some point when I create the other one about 7 reasons to do it on yourself. I'll try to link back to that one in this video and you can watch that. We'll see you guys in the next video.